Hi everyone, this is a patch rundown of both point 1 and point 2, June 19th and June 20th for Teamfight Tactics, League of Legends answer to Autochess. I've been playing a reasonable amount of the game so far. It's actually pretty good. I've never played any kind of Autochess at all, so the whole game is pretty new to me, but it's pretty reasonably strategic and a lot of it makes reasonable strategic sense, so yeah, I'm just gonna go through each of the patch notes, talk a little bit about changes, what I kind of think about some of the whether they'll affect the state of the game too much. Yeah, and we'll just start off with the June 19th patch. Ash fixed bug where Enchanted Crystal Arrow didn't stun anything, just made them look icy. I mean that's fair enough. Yeah, Glacial's pretty nice at the moment. It can be quite aggravating to play against. I occasionally go for it, but I think it's more of a preferential thing. Like, it's definitely a good option to go for. So it's always nice when they fix the op-block like that. Blitzcrank, rocket grab damage increased from 100 scaling to 300 to 100 scaling to 600. Along with the other two changes, the missile speed increase and the pull speed increase being massively increased. These are all really needed for Blitzcrank because he is absolute garbage at the moment. There's no real point in taking him really at all because like the robot, I think it's robot buff that you get for just having him out, because I think he is the only robot in the game at the moment, isn't actually that good. And then his secondary is brawler, but you've got much better brawlers in the game to actually like get the brawler combos. He's not really necessary. So it's nice to see the kind of damage and range increase, because it might actually mean that picking him might become a lot more common, because he is kind of useful if you're either trying to pick out the main carry of the team, or if you've got quite an assassin team composition. It can be useful to pull if anyone's built any anti-assassin like positioning around the backside of their team. So sometimes you can pull out that anti-assassin, let your assassins get in there and actually do their fucking job. So yeah, very nice changes overall. Darius Decimate damage reduced from 150 scaling to 300 to 150 scaling to 250. Yeah, it's pretty much needed. He's pretty insane. Very nice early game along with Garen. Not surprised about this at all. Would like to see some nerfs to the Garen sort of level 1, level 2 ability damage. That would be quite nice. Probably coming in a future patch, hopefully. I know it's not in this June 20th patch, but like, yeah, as I said, it would be nice to see that, because they're both pretty fucking strong early game. Like, there's no real need not to pick at least one of them up for some early game damage, and either make one of them either like a pretty insane lifesteal damage carry, or a tank. Mainly tank though. Redemption on one of them is usually pretty nice, especially Darius. Draven, no nerfs yet, but eyes are on him. He's intended to be top tier DPS, but he might be a bit too strong. Yes, he was too fucking strong. He still is pretty strong. There is a nerf for him in the June 20th patch, but he's still pretty fucking strong. Some people I've heard actually are not a huge fan of him, find he's very dull. I'm not too bothered. Like, it's quite nice just to stick a Draven in, even a level 1 Draven in later game when you've pretty much all got level 2s and maybe the odd level 3. Even sticking in a level 1 Draven is still pretty strong, even after the changes in the next patch. Yeah, we'll come back to that though when we look at the next patch. Gangplank, Powder Keg's damage increased from 100 scaling to 200 to 150 scaling to 400. Yeah, definitely needed. Although he actually has 3 words on him. I guess words is the best way to describe it, I'm not sure. But yeah, he has two classes and an origin rather than just a class and an origin, which initially sounds like a really strong point for him, but really doesn't like get picked at all. I guess it's just a mix of the fact that he doesn't really provide too much damage or utility really in any of his kit, and Blade Master and Gunslinger, they have their own really good champions to use to combo to get the like initial few stages of bonuses. So he's kind of left in a weird state where like occasionally you might have him if you need like some of the later numbers for the Gunslingers or Blade Masters. And again, he's also a pirate, which doesn't help. Pirates are absolute garbage at the moment. No real like use for them at all. They need a kick up the ass just to like actually become vaguely relevant. Like most of them are also pretty bad as well, as we'll see with when we talk about Graves in a second. But yeah, it's just baffling. Pirates really need a good buff, really. Otherwise, they're just gonna stay completely irrelevant. Graves buckshot damage multiplier reduced from 10 to 20 scaling to 5 to 15 scaling. No fucking clue why this is in here whatsoever. Absolute garbage champion to pick at the moment. You very rarely come across him. Some people claim he is incredibly OP with red buff, but again, like you're not coming. The fact both getting him to a level 2 state and getting red buff on him is such a situational occurrence that it is really not worth this nerf at all. If anything, he needs a tiny bit of a buff, or maybe red buff needs a nerf. I don't know, but the occurrence of Graves with red buff isn't that common. This is just not necessary at all. I think it would be much better just to keep him the same and maybe just buff the pirate origin instead. But there we go, Riot patching, I guess. Leona added a particle effect to the Leona stuns since it lasts for an eternity. Fair enough, that makes sense. Leona is quite nice at the moment, especially when you add it with the Braum to get that Guardian 2-stack. It's quite nice. But even on her own, to be honest, she's much better than Braum. The ultimate's very useful, and I believe she's a noble, so if you're going for an early game noble, it's not too bad. Mordekaiser obliterate mana cost increased from 75 to 100, but the obliterate damage increased from 100 to 350 scaling to 200 to 450 scaling. Yeah, this is quite nice. Thing is with Mordekaiser, he's one of those units rather that he's only good with items, which is a real big shame because like the new Mordekaiser rework actually in League of Legends was really nice, and it would have been nice to kind of have that same kind of potency that he has in League of Legends at the moment in Teamfight Tactics, but unfortunately, yeah, it's not that potent. Occasionally you get a good Q off if the champions line up well, but majority of the time, unless you've got items on him, he just very quickly dies and maybe gets a little bit of damage off. Not really the best. One good thing about him though, he is a knight, so if you are getting the early Dariuses or Garens, it's quite nice to try and, if you can't get both of them, you can only get one, and it's quite nice to have the Mordekaiser in there for the double knight. Volibear, Thunderclaw's range reduced from 2 to 1. Thunderclaw's bounces increased from 3 to 5 scaling to 3 to 7 scaling. Volibear's a bizarre one. He is definitely strong, and he's stronger than I thought, but his his power is definitely a bit overrated. Very situational. It's very much if you get those 3 items on him, like a Rage Blade, a Static Shiv, so on and so forth. Like, this was definitely not going to help it, but at the same time, he does not need a nerf outside of the reverting of this, which I believe they do in the next patch. So let's have a look at the next patch, 0.2, that occurred yesterday from my time. 0.2. Draven, obviously, yeah, as we thought. Well, they mentioned it in the previous pack, but yeah, Draven definitely needs enough, so here we go. Spinning Axe damage multiplier reduced from 250 to 450 scaling to 150 to 250 scaling. Pretty harsh nerf, but then he kind of needs it. Like, his level 1 is now his level 3. Playing with this yesterday, definitely did see a massive reduction. He's no longer 2-shotting carries, but he is sometimes 3 or 4-shotting, so it's not actually that bad. He's still an absolute beast in the backline. He's still, like, if you have reasonable protection for him and he doesn't get interrupted by either assassins or like stuff like Glacier or Lissandra ult, he's still just wreaks havoc. I don't know. I have a feeling though that if like they reduce his damage or his general flat DPS or flat damage anymore, like he's just gonna become absolutely worthless. It's just one of those units where like literally he's either going to be useless and you'd rather buy another unit because he's a 4 cost, or his damage is going to be insane. So you're going to like always. It's never bad to have a Draven in your backline. But yeah, I don't know. I quite like the champion in the game, and I'd like it to keep. I think this is a reasonable slot. He's still wrecking, but it's not like 2-shotting carries at least. Aatrox attack speed increased from 0.55 to 0.65. It doesn't sound a lot, but actually after looking at some of the actual attack speed values, it is reasonable. He definitely needs it. Again, he's a demon, along with pirate. Demon's origin is pretty shit. Yeah, I mean, it has a nice idea to do with mana burn and true damage, but like if you are looking for mana burn, like you just get a Cassidon. Like it does a much better job at what Demon's trying to do, and then the true damage you actually get from the Demon passive isn't that it isn't that great. Like I think there's only one real. I think it's Brand is the only demon that's actually. I think it's actually really worth getting. Like Aatrox is okay if you're going for a full Blade Master comp. Like it's okay to have him as a like sort of last Blade Master, but really like it's probably better just to try and spatula the what do you spatula do? Is you spatula the recurve bird to get the Blade of the Rune King. I think that's it. So yeah. Get the Blade of the Rune King to make someone else a Blade Master. It's probably worth it. Instead of getting an Aatrox, but still, you know, if you need that Blade Master, he is there. But yeah, I think for him to actually really be that much more viable, he really needs some kind of buff to demons or some insane stats. But I'd rather not see insane stat buffs. Like I think yeah, just buffing the demons would be a pretty nice choice. Aurelion the Soul, Voice of Light damage increased. 250, 650 scaling to 300 to 700 scaling. Now, again, I think Aurelion Soul falls into the Volley Blast slot as well. Like the base damage for the ult is, well, for the ability rather, Voice of Light, is pretty nice, and if it catches a few units, it's actually pretty devastating. But in the same sense, I don't find Aurelion Soul that aggravating or obstructive really, unless you have no way of actually getting onto the Aurelion Soul and disrupting it. But like if you have an assassin, the Aurelion Soul is generally in the back line, so like you can generally deal with it. But yeah, if the Aurelion Soul does have 3 items, especially like some kind of survivability item, it can be an absolute pain to deal with. But I think it's reasonably the damage increase. Like I've played with this and it does seem to be fine. So I think I need to keep an eye on Aurelion Soul because I think it's one where like my opinion of it does seem to bounce around. So yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it. I don't think it's too strong at the moment, but it's still a relatively strong champ. You still should be picking it up if you're vaguely going for any of their any of their attributes of the classes or origins, and it's definitely a great ability to have. Kindred attack speed reduced from 0.7 to 0.65. I mean, I guess I don't really see too much of a point. I mean, it is a reasonable change. Like, it does definitely reduce her like how much you want her in the game, but like the reason she's being picked isn't really for her attack speed. Like, yes, she's a ranger and technically an AC, just like in League, but you're picking her for the ult. Like there are much better other rangers to pick up. She's also, I'm actually not sure what origin she is. Is she? Wait, let me just check. If we go, Kindred. Oh, she's a Phantom. So yeah, the Phantom one isn't fantastic. Like I could see it can be kind of devastating if you do pick up a few. If you get the Karthus, get the Kindred, maybe get a couple more. I can't remember what the actual, whether it's a 2-4-6 or a 3-6. But yeah, or even less than that. But yeah, I don't know. It's not. I haven't found too much potency of it. It's mainly her ult that she's picked for, or the fact that she's a ranger. But again, you have a better ranger if you're going it for that. So really, I don't find this like nerf really that necessary, and it shouldn't really adjust your priority of her when buying her or not, or picking her from the carousel. Lulu, there is a known bug where Lulu's spell does not cast. They're working on a fix. Yes, she is absolutely a useless champion unit at the moment. Do not bother buying her. See, they say known bug where Lulu's spell doesn't cast, as if like they're saying that it sometimes does. As far as I've seen, it never casts. So I don't know, if it is casting for you occasionally, then fair enough. But even then, it's not really worth taking the risk. Just do not buy this champion in game until they fix it. There's literally no point of her. Misfortune, bullet time damage increased from 700 to 1540 scaling to 800 to 1700 scaling. Well, at least the numbers are a bit nice and rounder. That is a bit bizarre, those numbers, but whatever. Yeah, definitely needed. She's a gunslinger, which obviously can help with your gunslinger combos, but again, there's better gunslingers who do more damage, so this is really very nice. And at the same time, she's also a pirate, which was already talked about, and pirates are absolutely terrible. They really need a buff. Like, yeah, she just comes into the same the same category as like Graves and like Pike and that kind of thing. Like, she just really needs a buff to her origin, because it's not. There's just other gunslingers that do a much better job of what she does, and plus her ult. Although the ult is quite nice, it's just, again, like, it's AoE. It's not really gonna necessarily hit everyone. It's only if you get a nice lineup of units, but whatever. Morgana, Soul Shackles damage increased from 200 to 400 scaling to 250 to 450 scaling. Yeah, definitely needed. Again, Demon. You see the patterns that come in here. Demon and Pirate are just so bad. It really just needs a buff. But again, at least this will actually help her a little bit, because she is kind of situationally picked. Because I think she's a sorcerer. Yeah. So sorcerer combos do quite nicely with her. Her ability actually provides some reasonable CC. So increasing the damage on it is quite nice. It might put her up a little bit in priority in some people's lists. So yeah, if you're going for a sorcerer, I guess, it's not too bad to pick up. But yeah, again, like, demons need to be looked at. Volibear, Thunderclaw's bounce reduced from 3 to 7 scaling to 3 to 5 scaling. Yeah, that's just reverted. That's fair enough. And then it's just a bug fix. And then I believe the rest are bug fixes. Yeah, there's some bug fixes about player damage being higher than intended. It kind of looks like there still is some of that. I don't know if that's just me being bad, but yeah, we'll find out. But anyway, yeah, just the rest of them bug fixes, which is obviously always good. Yeah, so there. That's both 0.1 and 0.2 patch notes rundown. Hopefully I'll be doing some more of these. I'm really, really liking TFT. And I definitely cannot wait to start playing it once Ranked is out, and also once it's live on the server. So yeah, thank you for watching.